What's going on, guys? My name is Degidio. We are back with another episode of the Jaxxon podcast. I'm sitting here with the greatest co-host of all time, Twitch. And Twitch brought us a very special guest. Twitch, it's been an amazing 2024. So before I let you continue this podcast, I just got to tell you, the Jaxxon podcast is phenomenally ecstatic. Like, what is the word, Loco, that we saw on the Jaxxon podcast Discord? Ecstatic? Unprecedented with how good you've done. Your moto show on the Jaxxon podcast. Just so you know, before we announce your name, I gotta give Twitch his flowers.
Do we vote for ourselves? Is that how we win?
Well, you won Podcaster of the Year, so big round of applause for Twitch.
Do I get a belt or anything? Like, what do I get?
I just need subtitles.
So actually, just say his name real quick, so we could do that. So we make sure the audience knows he's
here.
We
have Blake Bilko Williams.
Hey, Bilko.
How we doing?
Thank you for coming, brother.
Thanks for having me.
I've never eaten breakfast with you. First time we had breakfast, and I find 3 hairs in a cookie, huh?
Yeah.
It wasn't
I think
cookie.
It was him sabotaging me. He's a little prick.
Yeah, I do that stuff.
He's been a little prick since I met him since day one.
It's 20 years.
Oh, I can imagine your guys' relationship. At some point in the podcast, I'm going to have both of you stand up and take a photo right here together so the audience can see how I've been rolling around all morning.
With Dumb and Dumber.
But just to let you know, so your podcast, like the moto shows, you've done 300% better. You have an amazing audience. The moto industry, the freestyle industry, supercross industry, whatever industry you want to attribute it to is really behind you. And we have the analytics to show it. Nice. People are very excited. The show's growing twice as fast as we thought it was going to grow. We're obviously signing up for another season. 2025, we're coming. So we just want to say thank you. We wanted the audience to know that as well. So we appreciate all your hard work.
You learn something new every day.
He's a people pleaser.
Yeah.
He's a people pleaser.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a guy who cares to please people.
Oh, no, he does.
Certain people.
Especially the ones close to him.
Yeah. Seems like he wants to do everything his way.
Yeah. It is my way most of the time.
His way or the highway, but he's always helping you out at the same time.
Yeah.
I like that. How long have you guys known each other?
20 years.
The first time I met Bilko, he snuck into
a
Crusty Tour show in Australia. And how old were you? 13?
No, I was like 18.
He was 18, but he looked like he was 13.
Yeah, I did.
He still looks like he looks like he's 18 now.
24.
Yeah, he snuck in. He filmed this whole experience. He was in the locker room with us, just hanging out, talking with us.
I was like one of the riders. Yeah, we made fake armbands, snuck in. We're backstage with Deegan, Feist, Twitch, just our heroes.
Like when we had gnarly security at the time. Like when we went to back then, like when we would go sell out these shows, they would say we would sell it out faster than like the boy bands, like gnarly concerts. You know, like when we would do Crusty Tour back in the day, like Moto was so big. And it was just funny. He's just sitting in the locker room next to me, talking to me forever, showing me photos. Like I thought he was someone's kid who was with the tour, but him and all his buddies snuck in, and they're like our biggest fans.
Showing him mini bike photos, probably.
Yeah. Then I come back the next year. He's doing backflips on 50s and like what was Sully on? Sully was on like a 90 or something, right?
That was the next year. Me and Sinclair were doing
Top
flips
Dog,
the first
Sinclair,
year.
and Sully, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, these dudes were fucking killing it on pit bikes. And then the next year we come back and they're riding dirt bikes and they're better than all of us.
Come out swinging.
I can't imagine those tours, like going down to Australia with that crew. Who would go on those tours with you?
It was me,
Feist,
Deegan,
Twitch,
Hart,
Deegan,
Feist, Nate Adams,
Mad Mark for a bit,
Clifford,
Kennard.
Flying Hawaiian. Who else? Dan Kennard.
Yep. Shuey, Maddo.
Yeah, it was big.
At first, it was all the Americans, like 2002, 3, 4, and then 2005, they had a bunch of Aussies, and then...
What was your first year on the actual
2005
tour?
On a big bike, 04 on a pit bike.
Yeah. And this kid, he surprised me so much. I was like, this kid's like gnarly. And literally every single one of my buddies that's Australian is really crazy and really gnarly and not scared to get hurt.
Is that like an Australian thing?
It is. Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Jacko's wild. Cam's a little bit more sensible, but he's still got hurt.
But back in the day, Cam was wild. Like, Cam didn't care. Cam just got a little older and got really hurt a couple times where he got smarter than you guys.
Yeah, Maddo and Jacko, probably myself, are on a pretty wild level. Alderberg's pretty conservative. Yeah. That's why he's still in the game.
Adelberg's gnarly. I feel like Adelberg's still at the top of his
game.
He's
at the best he's ever ridden. He eased into it. He was smart. He didn't have too many injuries back in the day. I remember riding before 09X Games at Nate's place, and he was riding there. And he was starting to do X Fighters then. He was good and competitive, and now he's just dominant. He's got the most medals out of any Aussies rider.
Does he really?
Yeah.
How many do you think he has?
He's got 18.
Damn, that's what I have. I think I have 17.
Oh, he's got you, mate.
He got me.
You got 17 X Game medals?
Yeah.
Do you only count X Games?
I have my other ones that they're all.
They're not really medals at the other ones. They're usually trophies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it with Aussies? Like you guys, you have like the Lawrence brothers, like you have like some legends in Supercross, you have legends in freestyle. I feel like Australia has produced a lot of riders.
Supercross is a little harder to get into. I mean, we don't have the talent. We've had Chad, now the Lawrence brothers, had Michael Byrne, a couple other riders. But freestyle, like all of us just grew up on a farm somewhere and rode in the backyard with a lack of parental supervision, and then just progressed to where we are. So, and you look back in the day, like early G Tour days, the BMX dirt was dominated by Aussies. They have like 12 riders in the final.
Be the whole podium.
Seven or eight of them would be Aussies.
Yeah.
Corey Bowen, Gutler, Parslow, Dave Dillawad. I mean, yeah, there was a bunch of them.
So many good dudes. So many good names. So many gnarly athletes have come out of Australia.
I think the BMXers got there quicker because you could just throw your bike in a suitcase and show up to the event. Moto takes a little bit longer to get, somewhere set up with a mechanic, bikes, and traveling with all that stuff around.
Yeah.
So it took us a little longer to break through.
Mm-hmm. One thing, even when you bring up those tours, I feel like the audience that grew up watching you guys like freestyle motocross, like these icons, these pioneers, like you're saying, like
they grew up on Crusty Demon's dirt.
Yeah.
And so before social media, you'd never see that, let alone in Australia, let alone pretty much anywhere. So when it came to town, it was like Motley Crue was in town.
Yeah.
There was like...
That's what it was like. Like that's how quick we were selling out arenas.
After the show, there'd be like 5,000 in the crowd, just people doing burnouts on street bikes and that, just waiting for these guys to come out and sign.
Like just to show their appreciation, they would rip all the seats out of the stands and throw them at us down on the field. Like remember that one year they flipped
show
over
our appreciation.
Dude, they flipped over a couple of cop cars and they're just so stoked that we were there doing shows. Like
Perth, every year they riot in Perth, but we have the coffin cheaters, the bikies usually show up for that, and they're our security, so they don't really come backstage.
Remember, like they would rock. We would be like driving the van, they'd be rocking the van. We're like, "Fuck, is this thing gonna flip over?" Like it would be gnarly.
As soon as the guy lands the last jump, we'll pin it back to the pits in Perth, and they'll jump the fence, they'll tip all the ramps over, get a bunch of people on each end, and spin the ramps
crawling
around.
up on the airbag. Remember that year in Perth when the dudes fell off the airbag and a couple legs got broken?
He was sitting on the airbag and he got like blobbed. Someone jumped off the top of the ramp onto the airbag and seat bounced the other dude off, and he broke his femur.
Gnarly.
I mean, anarchy.
Yeah, just the fans just go crazy in Oz, dude. It's rad. I love going to Australia.
And then back then, like, we'd be driving the rental cars between stops, doing burnout speed, and the cops were like, "Oh, yeah, the demons are in town. Yeah, you can get away with it."
We got kicked out of every hotel. They had to start renting us condos, and then we got kicked out of all the condos. Then they had to start booking rooms under separate names.
Crusty Demons
they couldn't
anymore.
use any of the names, and then somehow they would find out we were there.
We got told to behave after, like, when you guys stopped coming over, and it was like towards 2008, 2009. They're like, "Hey, we're running out of hotel chains, so you guys, if you don't behave, we've got nowhere to stay. We'll be in the caravan park."
We would like Link Oggle would go out and he would just throw the promoters. He would go to the promoters room and literally throw every piece of furniture out the window that was in a room. Phone, lamp, TV,
Larry
bed,
was different.
Anything, shower curtain.
What was the reasoning for always having to trash furniture in hotel rooms?
We were just assholes.
How old were you?
I was probably
22, 23.
20, I think 21 when I first started going over there, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who originally put all that together to go to Australia?
Foreman and a couple of others did the Perth show first, the all crusted out tour, and they thought maybe 5,000 people were going to show up, and like 35,000 people showed up. Police helicopter came. There was riots.
35,000 people showed up to the first one in Perth,
and they were hoping to get 5,000 people.
And it was just in like a big outdoor. It might have been a speedway, but there was a couple of dirt jumps here, and like Metzger's like, "Hey, come here, I'll get my helmet out," and just
the whole crowd just rushes in. Like,
what year was that?
03, maybe 02, probably 02,
maybe 02, maybe 2002.
Videos were at an all-time high. People were watching.
Still VHS
but
tapes.
you didn't see that till the next year when the video came out to see how crazy it was, because you didn't have social media, you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have MySpace,
didn't even have DVDs then.
No, nothing.
What was the time difference on a video? You guys would film for like 6 months, then put out a video,
like a year.
Crusty, we didn't even have you didn't have Hoodrich out yet. It was just basically Crusty, then maybe Steel Roots, and then Terra Firma. Yeah. So there was only maybe like 3 or 4 Moto VHS tapes that had come out a year, and most people would film all year, and around Christmas time it was just the open season.
Yeah.
And then that's when you went over there. You hadn't have done.
The only reason I got on tour is because Mike Sinkmars was kind of hurt going into the tour, and he was like the big whip guy. And back then, like my whips were pretty good. And he's like, "Hey, I want you to come in and fill in for me when it's my segment." Like he would still go out, do a ride, do some tricks, and then like halfway through, they're like, "Hey, I'm calling out my buddy Twitch. He's gonna come out here and do the whip for me." And was basically my intro to Crusty Demons, like for the tour.
And your first tour stop, who was on the team with you?
It was Hart.
There you go. Feist.
Oh,
Tommy
same guys.
Clowers.
Feist, huh?
Did you do it with Tomcat?
Yeah, Clowers was there.
Flying Hawaiian.
Trevor Vines, was he there?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It was a stacked field. Like it was like all the dudes of who the dudes were back then.
Yeah.
You know, like
And how'd you get mixed in with them?
That's when I snuck
that's
in.
when he snuck in.
Okay, that
So I
event.
was racing like Supercross on my 80 in the same stadium, so I kind of knew my way around, but I just watched them walk in and show their wristband and then got the color, went to the news agency, bought some colored paper, cut it up, put a little logo on it with some Texter, Sharpie, and then in we go.
Bro, I can't even imagine, like, because obviously I grew up watching a lot of this stuff and grew up watching action sports, but tell me about the parties, because I've heard about these legendary parties like in Australia and Europe after these events that they would fly out you guys to go like host these like freestyle events, and they were kind of like expos or I don't know, events. I don't even know. No one was winning anything, kind of, right?
The parties were gnarly over there back in the day. Like it was just
show up and they
stupid.
bring out a tray of 50 Jack and Cokes and then disco biscuits, you name
And
it.
who was in charge of throwing these parties?
I don't even know. They were just paying us to show up, so we would just go.
Yeah, we pretty much just run it as soon as you got there. Like the bar staff knew who you were, and it was just open season.
Do you feel like motocross and freestyle motocross is the same right now or no?
No, hell no.
No, definitely not.
That was like freestyle back then was like the Wild West. It was like a rock band coming to town.
Like no one wanted to be a part of what we were doing.
Yeah,
back
you were
then.
kind of shunned from the industry too. You were the wild childs, and I kind of got to where it was just starting. I wouldn't say corporate, but they were trying to clean it up a little bit, and they wanted less carnage, obviously, because you can't do that forever.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what the brand was built on with the Crusty Demons. So I played up to as much as I could without getting into too much trouble. But before I come around, those guys were wild.
Yeah. We would be driving down the street, autograph signings. I remember Morrison one day, he like pissed in a bottle or in a cup, and these chicks were driving next to us, and he's like, watch this. Like he was talking to this chick the whole time. Like it was just like a weird thing. And we're driving down the road, and there's video footage of it. He's like, watch this. He throws the piss out the window. It goes in her window and just blasts her, dude. Like so gnarly.
So bad.
And we were just like, oh my God. Like that's like what we would do all day long. Like we would piss in bottles at Warped Tour, and we would like, Morrison would call people up to the fence, and we would, when you'd step on a bottle and spin the cap with your foot, how it just sprays everywhere, just 6, 7 in the morning, people standing in line, just cover them with piss. Like
I had nothing to do with this.
We were idiots, dude. Like we were literally like,
How did you not get in trouble?
I don't know.
There was no one was filming it on their phone.
We were filming it on video,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like that was it.
I mean, you
know
guys
what
were
I mean?
putting it in your videos.
Yes, like we're like,
Like, they were like
Yeah.
modern day
ourselves.
snitching on themselves.
Yeah, we're ratting on ourselves. Like, look what we did. Like
Scum used to throw everything out the window when he was driving along the road.
everything out the window: Gatorades, candy bars, whatever, sodas. Like,
And
take
what-
one
what-
sip. This sucks. Throw it out the window.
What got you excited to want to hang out with
I
these guys?
mean, just the riding, and then they always look like they were having a mad time, like him and Feist, and that used to just laugh so much. And yeah, one, I wanted to ride like him, and then two, just started to hang out with him. And you got dirt bikes in common, you pretty much got everything in common. So yeah, we just started broing down. I was still a bit young and geeky at first, so I had to.
He was pretty geeky when we first met him.
I
Really?
just looked 5
He was just a normal
five
kid,
years younger than what I did. So
Yeah.
and squeaky voice.
Like I said, like I thought he was 13. He was 18 when he
Yeah.
snuck in.
So
like,
then I just let my riding do the talking. And they're like, all right, he's half cool.
we're like, he's fucking dope. Like he literally, like once he started riding freestyle, he picked up all the tricks so quick. There was like the one main freestyle dude, Jono Porter.
Yeah.
He was like the shit. Like everyone like from over here was like, oh dude, Jono's like,
It
this
was
kid's
like
gonna
the
take over
Australian
the world.
Travis because he raced Supercross. He won Supercross races. He had the
Yep.
Pepsi Max freestyle team, and he was going to come over here and do X Games qualifier. And his stepbrother / best mate, they both did like the first.
They started flipping
Yes,
before
yeah.
anyone.
And he flipped in practice. His stepbrother, and then he crashed, landed upside down. The foot peg went through his helmet. He went into a coma for a week. And Jono said, "No, I'm going to race from now. I'm not going to do freestyle." And then, sure enough, later that year, he died in a start straight incident. 40 guys going along. So, but he was going to come over here and take on X Games because he won the Australian X Games. Did you ride that Planet X in Sydney? It was indoor.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
That was my first trip to Australia. Me and Metzger came over.
Yeah. He won that one. He did the flip in the contest. And
That was the first time I seen him flip was there. And it was
Yeah.
like the normal ramp propped up at like 15 feet. Like it was super short. I
Yeah.
remember like, I was like, damn, it's possible.
Yeah, so he taught it, like he raced Supercross, and that's when I was racing Supercross too, and my best mate Cam Sinclair. So we kind of, Jono took us under our wing, and under his wing, and it was awesome. And Yeah, he egged us on to flip, and Cam and I flipped the same day. It was a couple of months after he passed. So yeah, it kind of inspired us to do that. And then once I did the flip, it was just, I didn't tell my parents for like a couple of weeks. I told them I wanted to do it, and they're like, "No, you're not doing that." And then a photographer came and put it on the internet for him, and I worked with my parents. So I got called into the office like that next week, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And there's just a picture on the screen of me upside down. I'm like, "Yeah, I did a backflip last week." But back then, it was when there was probably less than 20 people in the world doing it. So
no one really gave a crap about freestyle then, especially in Australia. It wasn't like that big of a thing yet. It was like, no,
it was when the Americans come over, freestyle was huge. But then when they left, we just do a halftime show at the Supercross. There was no real freestyle sport, like no contests or anything. They started picking up on it, but anyone that wanted to do any good had to come to America.
Yeah. But those World X Games, like the Sydney Games and whatnot, that was still an X Games like qualifier. It was just their own version.
That's back then it was an Australian company called Planet X. It was called the Planet X Extreme.
It was like their
Games.
own little thing, yeah.
But it was just basic, a couple of ramps, and it was a fair few Aussie riders, and they brought some American riders over. But as I said, if you wanted to do any good or get a name for yourself, you had to come over here.
Wait, and since we're on the topic of X Games, like at the time of X Games, that's like me as a fan. Obviously, I can't even ride an e-bike, so I would never think about getting on one of these.
You're too busy holding the boombox up while you're riding down the street.
that was a bread roll from breakfast this morning. But like X Games used to be like the pinnacle of what it meant to be an athlete and an accomplished athlete, as well as someone who even society, like normal society, we didn't need to know about a skater or a freestyle motocross racer or the tattoos. Nothing mattered. If we heard you were an X Games gold medalist, that's like you won an Olympic gold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you think this nostalgia, this like aura to X Games is gone?
I think a lot is a fair bit to do with social media. Everyone's seen it before, so now when they go and watch it, someone will do a double flip, they're like, "Oh, do a triple flip."
And there's no secrets. It's like people seen the new trick drop on the gram the week before the contest came out, so there's no expectations like what's someone going to do this year, like no one.
Best trick, you used to sit there and go, "What's this guy going to do?" Like,
you had no clue. Like he wouldn't tell anyone, and now it's like everyone already knows what everyone's doing.
You might be able to tell in practice if they do like a bit of a seat grab. You're like, "Oh, you might be doing a body veer or something." But still, like even the riders who are close to him were like still guessing. You might tell one or two guys, but it wasn't all over the internet for months before. It was literally impossible to keep a secret after like 2012, 2013.
I feel like COVID killed the X Games just with it going to like people's backyards. It just wasn't. It didn't have like the. It didn't have like
the wow factor too.
Yeah,
like I think it lost a lot when they took freestyle indoors and just had two 75-foot ramps and a dirt hit.
When we used to have like Home Depot Center, like full freestyle courses, like full supercross tracks for speed and style. And then like I get it, like with X Games being at Staples Center and doing best trick in there and step up, like all that was dope. Like that was hands down the sickest arena for that. But when you go to put freestyle in there and you have 2 to 3 jumps, like
everyone looks the same.
It's just too gimmicky and just corny. And I feel like the promoters killed these live events.
Because like freestyle, it's if you've got a huge course and everyone's doing different stuff, it's easy to separate you. And even the crowd who might not be that educated, they can tell like, "Oh, I know why that guy won." But when you go round in a circle and you all literally ride in the same path, hit the same jumps, do 4 flip tricks, four upright tricks, there's not much. Like if you're not an expert, you're like, how come he scored better than him? And you just get confused and it doesn't have that wow factor.
And everyone's doing the same tricks, just their different version, like their style of it,
So a regular person, a heart attack flip and a rock solid flip, it almost looks the same.
It's hard to separate that when you have just the cookie cutter course.
Yeah.
Do you feel like motocross, in terms of like the way an event is ran, and then you compare that to freestyle, do you feel like there should be teams in terms of like Twitch enters a team, he has 2 riders, they compete, and there's only like 1 or 2 events a year?
Nah.
It's crazy because like all the Supercross guys, if you're on the one truck, you don't talk to the guys on the other truck. We all hang out the whole day. We'll talk about you might keep your trick list to yourself at a big contest, but
if someone's looking at a jump, like, hey, be careful, it's Bucky, it kicks you at the top, like save a little throttle for the top. Like,
a bit more pepper on that one. Like you don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Yeah, like we're down to help each other out. And at the end of the day with us, it's like whoever rode better is going to win.
Yeah, and you're always pumped for each other. There was no like saltiness. I mean, maybe here and there, but if it got really competitive. But
between me and you, like if I beat you, you were pumped for me. If you beat me, I was pumped for you. Like it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like,
but do you feel that because he grew up kind of watching you and looking up to you, and now he got to ride with you, and then you're like respectful, you take people underneath your wing? Because we don't see that in Supercross. Supercross supercross is like everybody hates each other.
Yeah, so if you wear a certain hat, you can't talk to someone in the other hat, you know. But in freestyle, it doesn't matter if you're Monster, Rockstar, Red Bull, whatever. We all practice together.
We all ride together during the week. Like,
and then you're like, hey, try this on that trick. Like, I can do it, so I'll give you some hot tips for it. And
we're like, hey, if you do this, this will look better. Like, it already looks good. Like, we always help each other out. Like, I feel like everyone in freestyle is pretty much like that.
Yeah.
What about the business of freestyle? Like, you kind of paved the way with getting these outside sponsors. You know, you had some amazing sponsors. You still do. You know, shout out to Jaxxon and the JX1, brand new watch. But like, how do you see the business of freestyle supercross, even for you?
Well, when I was coming up, those guys were so marketable already. And then, I mean, Australia didn't even factor in. All the American sponsors were like, oh, they're going to do some Crusty Tour thing. But in Australia, it was huge. But over here, you know, they had all the corporate sponsors. He was sponsored by Echo,
Panasonic.
A bunch of different brands. And this went Panasonic.
There was Target that sponsored a bunch of people,
Yeah, so there was a lot more outside corporate sponsors in there. And then it had the TV platform for the contest.
Boost Mobile. Like, there was a bunch of outside sponsors.
Yeah, so
Samsung,
those guys already doing that when I came over and had a manager with Wasserman. Like, it kind of just, the doors were already open thanks to these guys. So it was basically you get a gear deal, a shoe deal. Shoe deals were huge back then.
Yeah,
no one gets a shoe deal.
Stupid.
So energy drink, shoe deal, you know, bikes, graphics. It's funny, you look at the old contracts and it's got a magazine bonus in there. Sponsor will give you a check if you get an ad in a magazine.
Get the cover, 15 grand, one page, 5 grand, half a page.
Yeah, so that's how it's changed now. Like, no one even mentions a magazine in a contract.
No, but now you get social media bonuses. Like, I remember when I rode for Weed Maps, it's like, oh, if you get 50,000 likes, you get this much. If you get 100,000 likes, you get this much.
You're kidding me.
No, yeah.
He was too high to invoice for it.
No, I was not too high to invoice for it. I invoiced every motherfucking one.
That might be one of the funniest jokes I've heard all year. So that's actually really funny. So
if I get high, I'm thinking about the invoice.
Because for people that don't know, that's actually a very funny joke. So like when you rode for Weed Maps, in terms of like strategy with sponsors, because I always look at the business side as well. And that's like an interesting point. You bring up a magazine sponsor. Weed Maps is a massive brand. They sponsored you. Are they still sponsoring you for motocross?
No, I haven't messed with them for a long time.
They sponsored Bierman for a while, but then when he got the Red Bull deal, Red Bull said no.
Yeah, so...
When I told Bierman, go be an athlete. I'm like, you can always be a pothead, but go be a fucking athlete right now, dude.
Yeah, Bierman came on the podcast and talked about that when he was faced with that Red Bull. He said Twitch and Twitch's wife came through and really guided them, which is true too. A lot of people, they get caught up on the money. But sometimes that short-term money, and I'm talking about a year or 2 years, not long-term, it could dictate your entire net worth forever because you blew it.
And look at the projects he's done with Imagination.
Yeah, they back him. And that's what I told him. Like, dude, I go, yeah, you may be getting more money here, but long-term, you're going to make way more money being over here. Like 100%. They're just going to promote you and build you
profile,
bigger. Yeah, exactly.
So talk to me about that. So they would go to you and they would say, hey, we don't have magazine sponsorship deals, but now because of social, if you get a post and you tag us and it gets this many likes, you get a bonus?
Yeah, it would just be like that in the contract. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, and so whenever I'd post something, I'd be like, all right, I'm going to make sure this thing blows up because I want to get my bonus. Like,
and did they pay your bonuses?
Always.
Wow.
Yeah, they were always good about it.
You're probably one of the only guys like on that as far as freestyle now, because our contest scene's pretty much dead, sort of thing.
Why is that?
I mean, like X Games now, it's just best trick. There's only 6 or 7 riders. Most of 9 out of 10 are Aussie. But
seriously,
yeah. Fun fact: I think 32 or 34 of the last 45 best trick medals have been won by Australians. So,
damn.
Yeah, and shooting like
where's the American talent?
Are you flexing on us right now?
Yeah, where's the American
I didn't
talent?
even get one of those.
You want to go in the ring after this?
Yeah.
Kind of said that and then you smirked and you looked at him. Was there a reason you smirked?
Yeah, because we always bring up 09 because I beat him by 1 point. It's like Dominic Toretto in Fast and Furious. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
I was graduating high school in 09 and I remember that actually.
Yeah.
What did he beat you with?
We were riding freestyle. It was Home Depot Center. It was like
it was in LA. It was in LA.
Yeah.
Because I did the paintball tournament there at the Home Depot Center.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was the weekend before or after.
Yep.
And so we were there watching.
He wanted to shoot me with a paintball gun after that.
I was so pissed.
So you beat him by 1 point.
1 point.
What trick did you do?
Well, it was the freestyle contest. It was actually one of the gnarliest years for X Games.
By far the gnarliest.
Yeah, we
year
had
for X Games.
16 riders. You had a gnarly course. You did 3 60-second runs, your best 2 count, and they went 16 down to 8 riders. Then 8 riders did 3 more runs, 60 seconds, best 2 count, and then the final 4 went into the night show for the last 4.
And then the final 4, we had 3 90-second rounds of riding, but you couldn't repeat. You couldn't do the run you did in your first run. You couldn't do the same run for your second run, and then you couldn't do the same run for your third one. The judges wanted to see a variety of mixture. Yeah, I was the only one the whole weekend that didn't have one crash, and you and Nate and everyone else did.
Yeah.
And you still lost
by 1 point.
That was the best I've ever seen him ride at freestyle.
Here's my theory of why I got beat. The night before, he's riding best trick, and you did what, a Flying Dutchman?
Yeah,
360 Indy, which was on the 75 footer, which was the gnarliest trick at the time. I feel like on a motorcycle in history, like. Just there was dudes not even doing 360s, and he's doing heel clicker ones. He's doing one-handed ones. He's
no-handers, one-handed knacks.
He called it the flying. Why'd you call it the Flying Dutchman?
Because In-N-Out's got the secret menu. There's a Flying Dutchman, and all it is a meat patty, a cheese slice, a meat patty, and a cheese slice. No bun, no sauce, nothing. So my buddy Kibby, who worked for Geico Honda, he bought one home and he tried to feed it to his bulldog, and the bulldog wouldn't even touch it. So I figured the Flying Dutchman is that gnarly, no one wants to fuck with it.
So that's why you call it the Flying Dutchman. So it's a 360 with an Indy in there, like double can Indy, double neck Indy.
Double can Indy.
It was downside, right?
Yeah, downside. So
which was gnarly because like normally with the 3, like you need your hips, you need your legs, like you need everything.
You gotta stay central.
Around. Yeah. So he figured a way to do it right before X Games, and he did that in best trick on the 75-foot ramp. And then our buddy Kyle Loza did a body varial. Was it a body varial?
It was the bar hop flip over there. I think he called it the I can't remember, Electric Doom. But he did it the year before off 75-foot and won.
And then the next year he did it on the 45-footer. And so BILKO did his trick, and I'm sitting there with him. Did I ride best trick that year?
No, you didn't.
I'm just sitting there, just street clothes, and I'm like, BILKO lands his trick. He's sitting there. We're all looking. He has the highest score of the night, and I'm like,
one rider to go.
And I already knew what the other dude was doing. We knew he was doing the same trick as last year, but on the small ramp that was at 45 feet. So BILKO did his trick. His score came in. I looked at him. I go, fuck yeah, congrats. Gave him knuckle bumps.
As soon as Loza landed, and he did the same.
Oh
trick.
yeah, as soon as Loza landed, I go, hey, congrats, dude. You just got a fucking gold. Gave him knuckle bump. We're like, he's sitting there like, fuck yeah, dude.
I didn't want to celebrate too early, and
every single person in the fucking stadium was like, BILKO just won X Games, like stoked for him, you know what I mean? And then the score comes up and Kyle Loza wins, and we all look at BILKO, we're like, what?
Yeah, I wasn't.
What the fuck just happened? Like, well, I had no clue what happened because I'm like, how do you take this trick that you won on the big ramp last year and then you do it on the short ramp and it's already been done, and he comes out and does something brand new on the 75-footer?
Mind you, I nearly missed the podium in 06 with my cliffhanger flip because I did it off the 45.
Yes, exactly, which was still gnarlier than half the other tricks.
Yeah.
So he got robbed. He got robbed. Like everyone in the industry knew he got robbed. If anyone that doesn't know anything about freestyle motocross knew he got robbed that night. So the next night, freestyle's going down. Like he said,
I got a bonus point for being robbed.
He got a bonus point for being robbed. The head judge was Eric Johnson from Monster.
I think he's the one.
And I was a rock star guy at the time. So in my head, I'm like, this motherfucker just robbed me, and they gave him his, because he's like, oh, we'll make it up to you. You know what I mean?
No, they said that, but they put me on a billboard the next year in LA. So
yeah.
So the robbery got you the win.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say my ride.
He rode really good. We all rode really good. But at, me being me, I'm like, fuck that. They gave him an answer point because I was a rock star guy. He was a monster guy.
That's the best I've seen you ride freestyle, though.
Yeah. That was like the year where I was like, I was already winning a bunch of contests that year. So that's going into that, I was pretty confident. Like, all right, I'm going to do good.
15 years ago.
Maybe
about it.
Yeah.
What year was it?
It's 2009, 15 years ago.
It's 2000. Yeah. That's pretty crazy. You guys have been doing this long.
I'm not saying it's a rubber. That's the only one he hasn't won. He's won Winter X Best Trick, Summer Best Trick.
My one regret is not winning X Games freestyle. Because that's the one thing that I've never won in my career. And
how is that? You're like the most legendary freestyle
I've always
rider.
been right there, second, third. Even the year I won Best Trick in 05.
Yeah,
I beat Pastrana and I beat Nate. And then the next day we rode freestyle, and I remember doing my first run, and they took 2 90-second runs. I did my first run, and I'm sitting in 4th place. And I'm like, how? Like, I went out and I did all my gnarly flip tricks on all the dirt jumps when they were doing all their gnarly flip tricks on the ramps, the typical 75 and 45. And I remember the second run, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do my best run I can possibly do and just lay it all on the table. And then I ghost ride my bike. I was like, fuck you.
So that was your fault. You ghost rode it. That's where I learned it from.
Yeah. So after my last run, I did my trick, came up and threw my bike. And I was like, fuck you. Like, there we go. Like, I better be on this podium right now. And I still got 4th place.
That was one of the
mad.
first posters I seen. It was in your garage and you're like 4th place. Fuck this. You signed it.
And I remember going up on the landing and grabbing rocks and throwing them at the judging tower because I was so pissed off. Like,
did you get in trouble for that?
No. What are you going to do?
Games, I didn't care.
Yeah, no. They liked it because it was TV. It sold seats.
Leave it to an Australian, by the way, to give the American secret menu of In-N-Out out to the world. What a man.
Well, the thing is with like freestyle, if we had a governing body like AMA or like the NFL or something, we would not have careers. Like, because, if we go to an after party and we run amok, like if it's a football player, they're outs the next day on the front page, getting sanctioned, getting fined. And
like, we're so glad.
Promoted.
we're so glad we didn't have social media when we were like winning contests and doing all that stuff, because I would have posted the dumbest stuff. Like I wouldn't have any sponsors that I have today.
Imagine that like 1 month you're on Crusty Tour.
Yeah. How did you like, that brings up a point about sponsors. How did you work with people that you're competing against who also have the same sponsors? Was there ever like crazy competition? Because like you guys are both monster athletes, you guys are both friends. Was there ever this fear of like, we don't see that in most industries, where like a boxer wouldn't
honestly,
go like spar
all of us, I feel like we always looked out for each other.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, my contract's up. They're offering me this. What do you get? Because we didn't want to go undersell each other. Like if you're getting offered $200,000 and I go take a deal for 150, that's just lowering all of our value.
Then they'll get cut.
So it was like, hey, I'm getting ready to sign my deal. Did you resign yours? He's like, yeah, I got 275. We're like, okay. And depending on where you're placing at the time, you're like, okay, hey, I want 300, or hey, I want 250. Like I feel like there was a lot of us top dudes always had each other's backs. Yeah. Where we would give each other some info, like, hey. Or someone would be like, hey, they're offering me this. We'd be like, go up more.
It was like the scene in SoCal. Like I could come over and I'd get looked after. I'd ride at Degan's. I don't know if he liked it that much because I always went riding with Cam Sinclair. He was militia. But I ride at Nate's. But when we did Crusty Tour in Oz, the 06 and 08, it was like 18 weeks and 16 weeks long. So Nate and Adam Jones and that. Whoa. Settle down.
Sorry.
They only had the chance to ride every Saturday, so I'd take my old man's F truck and a trailer, and I'd take Nixie's, Jim McNeil's, Adam's, Nate's bike during the week, and they'd come back and live at my place. I'd take them riding at the foam pit and everything,
week,
so they could actually practice for the 4 months. Like, and it was almost they get back, and it was only 3 weeks till X Games.
Yeah.
So I'd take them all riding the whole time they were in Oz. So when I came out, I was just like, hey, I'm riding at your house, you know. So
would you let everybody ride at your house, or was there?
I didn't have a course back then. It was Degan in the beginning.
You had the one a little bit in 08 in the front yard.
Yeah. In 08, I let all my buddies ride my place. Like, and like, I remember there was a while there where I when me and Nate were winning everything. I'm like, we should ride together every day. I'm like, it'd be like a contest in the backyard. And
that was so out of this world for me. Like being in, I was watching you guys, and Nate was the clean cut guy, and then you guys always picked on him on Crusty Tour.
Yeah,
they used to tackle him when he walked out for his intro. They
spray him with the fire
extinguisher. It got in his eyes. They had to stop the show.
No,
and then I'm like, they must hate each other. And then they're riding together and stuff. I'm like,
well, that's like when like Nate was always doing good. He was like a robot. Like you would give him a schedule, he would stick to that schedule. If that schedule was working, he did that schedule every single day.
So I have to learn this trick by the end of the week.
Yeah,
he wouldn't stop till he did it.
He was winning everything. I was doing really good at the time, and I like looked at him like, hey, I go, we should ride together every day. I'm like, if we're riding against each other every day in the backyard, I go, when we get to the contest, it's going to be the best man wins. Like, we're pushing each other every single day. I'm like, we know we're all doing the same shit. We all live really close to each other. And I feel like when me and Nate started riding together every day, like we both started, it was like every weekend was first or second between both of us. And we would just die laughing like, oh, you got me again, you know, like. And it was fun because we were pushing each other every day. It was like everyone says it's not a contest when you're in the backyard riding with each other, but you're always trying to be better than the next dude. You're always, oh, he did a seat grab Indy, watch this.
Yeah,
I'm
if you
do it
get
better,
bored,
you know?
you see someone do it, like, I can do that better. And then if he does something cool, you kind of just put your head down and then pick another trick you can do bigger.
It seems like the relationship though, like in moto for sure, especially freestyle, is like such a boys club, right? It's such a dope, it's like MMA. I always compare it because I do see the similarities. What's the relationship with a guy like a legend, another legend like Travis Pastrana? What's the relationship? Is that something like, hey, he's from, you know, Nitro Circus and you have all these things going on? I think you did like a race with him one time.
Yeah, I've done a bunch of car stuff with Travis.
Because are you best friends with Travis? You guys still cool?
I'm cool with him. We never really hung out. Like
he's always hard to hang out with because he's always been so busy. Like he'd race Supercross and then he wouldn't ride freestyle for the whole year, and then a month before X Games, he'd just knuckle down, practice, come out, win,
learn a bunch of new tricks,
put his freestyle bike away for another 11 months. But then then he started touring with Nitro, so I got to spend a hell of a lot of time with him and
doing rally cross.
Yeah,
like
these
all
guys
that.
always
How did you get linked with Nitro Circus?
I was out here doing contests in 2006.
He had knee pads on and he was giving blowjobs.
I was going to town. So he's quite tall. You don't need to kneel down too far.
I'm looking at you like you're about to say something like he hurt his knees because he walked in with crutches, and then bro, every time.
So I went to stay with Mad Mike actually on the East Coast, and he knew Travis, and he took me down there, and then I started doing stuff in his foam pit. This conversation's going nowhere. And then I was
he's still dumbfounded over here.
I was on the 110. I was like double flipping his pit, and he didn't even see me do it. He just heard from someone. He's like, "Hey, do you want to try a double backflip 360?" I'm like, "Oh, how?" And he's like, "Just do double flip, but as you finish in the first flip, just look over your shoulder." I'm like, "Righto, just try." I was fearless back then. And then did a double backflip 3 on the pit bike in his pit, and he just speechless. Like, he's trying to flip a big bike. I'm like, I already did. And then, so from there, he was like, I kind of impressed him. And then I did the cliffhanger flip, and he was at Bartram's house, and I was riding at his place, and he's on the phone trying to get me to explain it to him. He's like, we've been trying for 3 days. We can't even get our feet up there. I'm like, that's easy, mate. You just jump off, catch the bars with your feet. And then from then on, we did X Games that year. He double flipped. I got on the podium, and but he was always so wide open with everything he did. It's hard to knuckle him down and actually spend time with him. I'm lucky after all these years now with Nitro Tour and some of the Rallycross and Subaru stuff we've done. I've spent a lot of good time with him, and he's awesome, genuine dude. He's
I think
crazy.
Trav too was like super stoked on like the progression that Bilko brought like to his house, like not knowing who he was and him already doing all the tricks that he was already working on.
He signed the jersey that in 06, and he said a lot of people come to my house, but not as many as gnarly as you.
Yeah.
So I was
like that. And for Trav to say something like that is like, holy shit, this dude must be gnarly.
Yeah. No,
and Bilko is literally one of the gnarliest dudes in our sport by far. Like
07, I hit my gnarliest point, then I shattered my ankle. I don't think I've ever ridden that good again.
No.
Like that Crusty Tour in 07.
But you're still crazy. Like you still have gnarly shit. You still do stupid things. And like, we're like, how the hell did he just pull that off? You know what I mean? Like,
I do some wild stuff, but it's all in control for me.
Even though he's younger than me, he's someone I've always looked up to in our sport just because he's been so creative and like, when he does something, it's never half-assed. It's like, even still to this day, his cliffhanger flip's bigger than anyone else I know in our industry.
I never, when I watched 360s come out and I seen Deegan and Pastrana do them so flat, that's how I want to do it. Nah. No, when people started toning it down, like there was a while there for when Nate was the only one doing them. I think he backed them off a lot. And
they were kind of like a big flip whip.
Yeah, and then like a couple of Europeans did them, but I'm like, I'm not doing it like that. If I do it like that, I'm going to stop doing it. So I just wanted to get them as flat as I could. And obviously a moto, I mean, I think Patrick Evans is going to be one of the first ones to do it, or Axel really, really flat.
Have you seen his in the foam pit?
Yeah, I seen a little bit.
They're dope.
Yeah.
He's he was trying to do them right before X Games. He's like, oh, I want to go up there. I'm like, dude, I go, don't.
Just do your whip.
I'm like, you're a shoo-in right now to win X Games. I'm like, don't go do something that's
something
is going to make you not fucking, you're going to get hurt before you go win and like actually make it. And after X Games, he's like, thanks for that, man.
Yeah. So I've got them now where I can do them like pretty damn flat but safe, especially with portable landings. Like a few years ago when they were the wood and steel, you can't land sideways and all on those. So I'd keep it in check and they weren't as flat, but when it's dirt or an airbag, I'll piff that thing flat.
I remember the one that always sticks in my mind is the 120 ramp at X Games,
the step down.
Yeah. Where you almost didn't rotate enough and you were fully flat. Like, yeah. That one was gnarly.
I'll send you that clip. You can put it on there.
Yeah, we're going to need that for
this clip is so gnarly.
I was rev limiter. I had my knees forward on the shrouds.
His bike never even got flat. Like his wheel stayed down lower than like the...
Yeah, the back wheel never went above the front wheel. That's when you know it's like a flat 3.
It was a legit 360.
And I was lucky it was a step down. I got an extra like 5 feet dropping and 5 feet further to bring the rotation around. Otherwise I would have splattered.
That was the same year our buddy Nixie cased that thing in practice, broke both his legs.
He broke his legs when he cased, and then he bounced off the top of the landing all the way to flat ground.
Which was like concrete.
Yeah. I don't think people realize how dangerous it is to ride a bike.
It's gnarly.
What you guys do.
It's gnarly.
You guys talk about breaking your bones and shattering. Like I talk about going and eating sushi.
Freestyle, like you can't really have a small crash. It's pretty hard to have a small... Airbag landings have changed a lot of that. You can get away with a lot more with airbag landings.
I've seen him get away with it right behind me. That's
Salt Lake City.
That was the first weekend I rode an airbag, and he crashed behind me. We were like telling each other what trick we were doing.
Yeah.
And he thought I said backflip knack, and I said just one-handed knack or something.
Yeah.
He did a backflip knack, slipped out. I looked behind me. I see him flying through the air. If he would have been on a normal portable landing, he probably would have broke his neck, and I
would have reached the asphalt after the bottom of the transition. But the airbag goes for an extra like 15 feet after, and it's about 3 foot thick. So you've got a bit of cushion. I landed on that cushion, but if it was straight portable, it would have finished, and the asphalt was slightly uphill.
He would have been KO'd. He got up, kicked his bar straight, hit the jump again. I'm like, I'm a believer of this airbag landing now.
Yeah, I mean, when you set up, you have a touring company that does massive events. What's it called?
KSFMX.
Yeah, and you set up airbags or portables?
Airbags. Yeah, everyone's basically gone to the airbag now because it's so much easier for like storing, traveling, safer. Like packing it up. Way safer. Yeah, 100% way safer. Yeah.
You just roll it out, turn the fans on in 10 minutes. It's pumped up, ready to jump. And then when you're done, like at the Supercross, I've only done one of them where we jump in the parking lot, the car park, and then roll it up and put it on a drag sheet out in the arena before the Supercross starts. So,
are you trying to have your American accent right now so he can understand you?
No, I just said car park. That's Aussie. So they put it on the start straight, and then
his accent gets so bad where you can't even understand him.
I can go full Aussie, but yeah, then they'll quickly set it up and drag it out. Like if that was a dirt landing, you couldn't do it. If that was a portable landing, you couldn't do it.
You would think like for a guy who doesn't ride a bike, and for the audience watching this, like you would think like the airbag like would make it like a little bit harder to land or a little bit more uncoordinated with your balance.
No, it sinks a little bit, and that's actually kind of good. It's got to give, especially if it's
especially for us with how shitty our bodies are.
Yeah, if it rains or gets any moisture, like if it's the portable with the wood, as soon as you land, the first thing to give is your tires.
It's slick.
But with the Kevlar top sheet on the airbag, it sinks like a foot or two, so your tires don't have a hard surface just to instantly lose traction on. It sinks into it and basically gains traction.
There's a few different companies for airbags, and I feel like Bag Jump is like what we ride.
Yeah,
literally is the best one that we ride. And our buddy Keith Sayers, like he helped develop that bag. Like, hey, it's too soft. Hey, it needs to breathe. Hey, this top sucks. We need to do this. So it's like we ride the best setups every time we ride.
Does that company Bag Jump develop jumps for people's homes too? Is that what people?
Yeah, they make airbags.
They work with Travis a lot too on the flat bags. They did the Nitro bag that's three. It's got three separate wedges: regular 75, next gen, and moon booter.
Yeah.
And that Kevlar top sheet's pretty rough, and you sink so far that when you land, you ride down it. It's basically sandpaper on the side of your boots off.
Oh, when I get done riding, the side of my boots are like shaved.
Yeah, after a tour,
brand new, like, rubber on them.
It was all the way through my soles, and I wear the same boots for like 3 years because of my cankle. But yeah, so they were literally the socks were sticking out.
So talk to me about Nitro Circus. Like this is a very iconic touring event company in the U.S. I don't know where the height of it is, but I know when it first started.
It's pretty low right now.
Yeah, I mean, it came out swinging. Like the same promoter that did the Crusty Tour in Australia, so Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Perth, and all the regional shows. At the end of 29, he split with the Crusty contract and just took on Nitro. And Travis and Greg Godfrey, Kurt Nickel, and someone else owned Nitro, and the Australian promoter did Nitro Circus Live. That was his company, and we did the Oz shows. And I think the third year in Oz 2012, we did 4 nights in a row in Melbourne, 3 in Sydney, 3 in Brisbane, 2 in Adelaide, and 2 in Perth. Like that's more than we ever did on a Crusty tour back in the day. And then every year we toured Australia, New Zealand, then we started going to Europe, and it was huge. And Travis obviously toured back then. And then I mean, COVID kind of shut everything down pretty bad, but
I feel like Greg Godfrey didn't get enough recognition and respect for what he did with Travis, and
they lost it all when they did the 3D movie. So they lost so much money with the 3D movie that they sold the company to get out of debt, I'm pretty sure, to Nitro Circus Live, the Australian promoter. So he took over the whole Nitro brand basically.
But that's what sucks is because Greg Godfrey's been there from the beginning. Like he used to have like
he did Global Addiction.
Yeah,
DVDs.
Global Addiction. He's been in freestyle since day one, and I have so much respect for that dude for like just him capturing the stuff on content, doing all the stuff he did with Travis, and like helping
create. He did the Great Outdoors too, didn't he? Did you know
I don't remember. I know he basically helped start Nitro Circus with Travis and like everyone. Like he's been one of the main dudes that like hasn't gotten the recognition I feel like he deserves for what he's done for our sport.
Yeah, with the whole split and with the movie thing, that kind of screwed him. Like the 3D movie was so expensive. But then since then, like I think 2017, 18, it changed owners again, and then it changed owners again. Like I worked with the same company that promoted Crusty from like 04
since he was
all the way through
since
to
he was like 18 or 19.
Till like 2018 when it was the same promoter, same staff and everything. And then over the last few years, it's all changed, and now Dana White owns it. But between Dana and the last guy, there's been like 3 different owners.
But Dana White and the TKO Holdings and whatnot, they bought like Rumble TV, Ridiculousness.
The Thrill One was the umbrella company, So Street League Skateboarding.
They bought everything, right?
Yeah,
like
everything.
Their own SLS, they bought that.
Yep.
And I think they did that because they're trying to create their own like streaming platform that has all these multiple sports.
And which is smart.
So, it's very pieced out right now. It's a great idea, especially because they have WWE, which has the fan base for that Nitro Circus probably demographic.
Yep.
Is Nitro Circus, do you feel like that was something that could have been bigger than what it was?
Like I feel like it was pretty freaking big.
It took advantage of it when it was huge, and it like when Travis still rode, he was such a huge draw card whether he rode or not.
If he just showed up.
The live shows, or just he started the DVDs, and basically that's where the live show came from. It basically we took the same ramps and everything from Crusty Tour, got rid of one moto ramp, added a BMX ramp. They called it the Giganta ramp because they couldn't call it Mega Ramp. And then, we just started that. And then obviously they started jumping bathtubs and tricycles and all the dumb shit. And then,
you don't like that stuff?
I just get hurt doing stuff I shouldn't be doing.
I think we all do.
Yeah, so I steer clear of that. I pretty much got every moto rider was banned from jumping BMX because of me. In 2010, I blew my knee out.
But what'd you do?
I flipped the BMX, over rotated. I had moto boots and my foot stuck in and tore an ACL.
And you missed the rest of the tour?
No, I just missed that one night show. So yeah, it was a bit of a bummer.
Not too bad.
But yeah, so that's what's made it huge. And then obviously Australia, New Zealand is just huge for that market. We just love our action sports there. And then Europe was pretty decent. The US stuff's never been big. Like they tried to do a Crusty Tour over here. It was 05 maybe.
Yeah,
it was 04.
Didn't last that long.
No, yeah, you were on the buses and that, and it folded after a short time. But just I think the Americans are spoiled for choice when it comes to sports.
Yeah,
baseball, football, NASCAR, IndyCar, basketball.
We have a lot of sports out here.
Yeah, we do.
And we're kind of overly stimulated with action sports because we see so much of it. I mean, here in Orange County, just in 1 week, I have Nyjah Houston, Ryan Sheckler, Twitch, P-Rod, and then I have the Lawrence brothers. Like you name it, they come in here. There's not
all the MMA dudes.
Yeah,
like
MMA.
Everyone.
Like we have everything in SoCal and the US, and that spreads pretty quickly.
Yeah,
so I think it just like overstimulates everybody. I want to know, who do you feel is the GOAT of freestyle motocross?
It's Travis, hands down. Like even like I said, he didn't ride for freestyle for 11 months. He'd be doing his supercross or whatever, or he was hurt. And then he's like, all right, X Games is next month. He'd just go into lockdown, jump in the foam pit, do whatever, come out, win, and then just not ride till, wherever long. And then if you bet him $1, he'll try anything. Like 2010 X Games, he was already winning after his first 2 runs. He didn't have to do his 3rd run. And I had a bet with him for $5 $1 that I'd beat him.
$1.
$1 I'd beat him, and then we broke our collarbone the same week, and then he rode and I didn't. And then in his last run, I said, I'll give you $5 if you do a double flip. And he didn't even have to do it, and he came out and double flipped. And people were saying his first 2 runs, he wouldn't have won. And I'm like, if he was in second before his second run, he would have double flipped in that run and double flipped in the last run. There was no way he was going to lose. Just because he won without the double flip, he still went and done it anyway when he didn't have to. Like, he could just turn it on, and like to see the disappointment in him when he couldn't do the triple flip, when him and Sheeny were first practicing that, and he just couldn't get the rotation, and Sheeny did. He was so mad. He's like, I'm just going to have to hand over the reins. And even a month later, we're on the Gold Coast doing a show, and Sheeny was going to double flip, and Travis got a hold of an RM450. He's like, I want to double flip because tonight is going to be the last night that I'll be able to do the biggest trick in action sports in FMX. And he goes, this is the last time before Sheeny goes and does the triple. And after that, I've done the biggest trick in freestyle. Like, he just didn't want to let that crown go.
No, he can't. He's so competitive with himself.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, he would coach people and let him use the foam pit and set up ramps for people to progress, to push him. Like, Nate learned to flip at Travis's house.
Yeah.
And then Nate started beating him all the time and pushed Travis to be even better. But
I remember when he got KO'd at Home Depot Center battling with Nate.
Yeah.
Like one of his last good years of riding freestyle.
Yep.
When he did the 3 under rotating and smacked his face.
Yeah, yeah.
Next day showed up, faces all swollen, scabbed everywhere, still rode, got second place. Nate won. Like, that was the first year I think Nate beat.
Yeah, it was the first time.
Nate,
yeah.
there was the
2004.
It was the one at Staples
2005,
Center.
yeah.
Because he was on the Yamaha, so I think it was 2005.
Yeah, it was 05.
Home Depot Center.
Carruthers did the
Corolla.
No, it was 04 because you won 05.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so 04.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
Crazy.
so, yeah, and like he was thinking about double flipping then, and he didn't quite. He had it not as good as he did for 06, but he had that massive black eye, and I think he was so mad he just had to not do the double, and he knew Nate was going to beat him, but he was pissed.
Pretty gnarly.
What's your opinion on the Lawrence brothers kind of taking Supercross?
I mean, it's awesome to see an Aussie out there. Obviously, I'm biased, but I mean, they're both amazing riders, and they're both doing so well. And their story, traveling to Europe, giving everything up, then coming here, and it's just cool to see. And I think they're pretty humble. I mean, obviously everyone has their different opinions about it, but I've spoken to Jet and Hunter, and they're awesome dudes. They're polite. I get along with them well. I barely ever see them. Here I'll bump into them here and there, and we'll have a conversation. But
I mean, they're as humble as it comes. They're Jaxxon athletes, and, and they came in here. They're super nice to everybody. It's interesting to see how the internet reacts to them because they are very well liked. But I do see a lot of comments on what people try to say about them, but I don't see that in real life.
But the internet's the internet. It's like Danger Boy. I love Danger Boy. He gets up there, he talks shit, and then people rip on him saying he's a smart ass and he's arrogant. It's like, no, he's a personality, he's a character, and if he says I'm going to smoke that dude in the next race, he'll go out and do it, and if not, he's pissed. You remember Sean Palmer? Yeah. He got up at X Games one time and he said, I might have to quit. It's just too damn easy for me. And he literally said, he goes, if you talk shit, you got to back it up because otherwise you look like a fucking jackass. And then so he literally did. You got to back it up, and that's what it needs. So if someone's out there talking shit, it's entertaining, and
it is. It sparks more interest. Like, like, oh, why is this dude talking shit? Who's he going to beat? You know, like
there'll be 10 times the comments on that one, and 50% will be, oh, he's arrogant, he's a little dick, he needs to shut up, and then the other 50 are like, yeah, he just told you guys what's up.
But when you can back up your shit talking and you smoke everyone, or you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go make a couple changes, I'll be ready for Moto 2, and you come out and you wax them, it's like, yeah, it's having that confidence. A lot of people are like, oh, he's cocky. I'm like, no, he's just confident.
Yeah, you got to be confident within yourself. And if you want to go out there and outspoke it, you put more pressure on yourself to have to perform. And then maybe that's why he likes performing under that pressure. So it's, fuck you, here's what I'm going to do. Fuck that guy, I'm going to take him out if he comes near me, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, that's racing.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with that either, especially if you can back it up. And I love the personality. I feel like you're an action sport. Let people be who they are. That's the whole beauty of being action sports. There is no corporate.
There's Supercross for so long was so just gimmicky and corny. Like you couldn't be yourself. Like or like, hey, you have to thank all 37 sponsors every time you're on the podium.
Reading off the pit board, like, yeah, like this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, and we're like, robot, boring.
Yeah. It's stupid. People know your sponsors. They see all of them on your chest on live TV when you're getting your interview winning. Why should you have to name every single person?
That part is a little aggressive. One thing I want to talk about before we bounce right here is this Twitch best trick. Twitch, I don't think we've ever reacted to this, but I want to kind of figure out what was going through your mind during this one right here. Let me pull this up.
Being back in Oz, I didn't even get to watch this event live. I saw the replay like 3 days later in a pub.
Not that
one. Look at the famous Stars and Straps.
I think we're having technical difficulties.
That was forever ago.
This is 2005.
Yeah, 2005.
19 years ago.
Yeah, this is 19 years ago. This is the Staples Center event.
It was in the car park.
In the parking lot there,
Car park.
Oh, wow.
Parking lot.
Car park?
Parking lot.
Car park?
What's that? Car park. One thing about this event, I was at this event with Sheckler, actually. This was like one of the first X Games I think I went to. I think this was the first one in LA. Bamberg's
bike, I think done the reads on the up ramp. He's like,
yeah, that was gnarly.
Yeah.
It was funny because when we got to X Games, everyone, you weren't there. Everyone was bitching about the dirt jump. Everyone's like, oh, we should take this thing out. No one's going to flip it or no one's going to do anything cool. And I remember me and Miller were on the Hawk Tour.
Yeah.
And I was doing,
the Hawk Tour.
And I was doing big flip whips, and I was like, what can I do different that I'll be able to do there, you know?
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, I'll try a flip whip, no footer to one-hander lander. But when we got there, everyone was like, oh, we're going to tear this jump down. Like, no one's going to flip it. No one's going to do anything.
As the general.
And I was like, fuck you, I'm going to flip it. Like, I'm not letting you guys get rid of this thing. I'm like, I'm going to flip it.
As soon as they said that, it's like, all right, I'm flipping it.
What was Deegan telling you?
No one was really flipping dirt jumps then. Everyone was only flipping the ramp. Like, even Pastrana didn't flip that thing.
He
Nate
did that
flip
bar
that
spin.
thing. He did the bar spin thing on like the 2-footer.
Yeah. The backside landing they used to flip on a mini bike.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, look at that crowd in LA, dude. That had to feel incredible.
Huge. And that was the first time I really won something big. Like, that was X Games. Like, that was when Pastrana and Nate Adams were like winning everything. Like, the baddest dudes there were.
Were you still on militia at this time?
Yeah.
What is that? What was Deegan telling you right here when you come off the jump?
That's pussy shit.
Yeah, he told me to quit being a pussy because I was supposed to do a no-footed to one-hander and I only did no-footer. But my score was even still sitting in first place with that.
You're in the lead.
Yeah. So
and what was militia making at this time? Just T-shirts? Because you have Etnies, you have Sobe, you have Thor, you have
Echo.
I don't know if they had the licensing agreement yet with who were they licensed? La Jolla Group. Yeah, I don't know if they were with La Jolla Group then, but when they were at La Jolla Group, they were making everything. But back then, it was just like hats, T-shirts, hoodies,
the same
stickers,
couple of logos on everything.
Yeah, exactly. It was the same stuff. But for me, that was like my peak of like winning something because that was like the first big thing I won.
Best trick at Winter the next year.
Yeah, and then a few months later, I won best trick.
Do you ever miss X Games at that level, or do you feel like it can't?
I think we all do.
I think every single dude misses X Games at that peak right there.
The prize, like there was step up, there was best whip, best trick, freestyle, and as I said, there was a lot more riders. Like now they usually have 6 or 8 riders in best trick only. Whip I think is 10, but when we had freestyle in 09, there was 16 riders. I think 2010 there was maybe 10 guys, but. Like, if you want the best of the best, you got to invite as many people and eliminate it down. So,
especially with the talent pool that we see in today's time with everybody making content, there is a lot of talent still out there. It's crazier than it's ever been.
The trouble is now with X Games, like I think with the money and stuff and all that, and it's not being as big a deal. Like a lot of the Europeans won't even come, even if they're invited, because
it's not worth it. They're not going to make.
They fly over, pay a mechanic.
They're paying to come to X Games to do a TV show.
Yeah,
Do you still have this Echo bike?
Yeah, it's hanging in my warehouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And is it how old is this bike?
It's a 05.
Do you still ever ride it?
Nope, it's hanging from the rafters.
Really?
Yeah.
Collecting dust.
Incredible.
That was the last time I rode it before I took it to DBK.
Incredible. Yo, the nostalgia and the history right here with the freestyle world is insane.
What year was your the flat 3 on the 120?
2008. Still put Blake, BILKO, X Games 360.
It's the sickest video. I remember we were all sitting there tripping.
You said BILKO. No, there's a no.
Hold on. I got fat fingers, BILKO.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have Vinny do this, but he's over there.
I thought you said you had cracked fingers.
Crack fingers.
One of the two. Oh, look, crash. No, keep going down.
It's right here.
Nah, keep going down.
Right here? X Games 15?
No, it's not that one. It's X Games 14. Put Blake, BILKO, Williams, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, you got to put Blake in there. Blake. Oh, keep going down. There is that one.
The one where you're doing a 3?
Yeah, with the green gear.
The one with the...
No. Oh, I can't describe
right here.
No.
Right below the
one that's at the bottom of the screen now. Yeah, 37 seconds. This view is not that good.
Cased it.
This is 14 and a half years ago. Wow.
Barely. Dude, that was gnarly.
What's the camera dude not get out of me way? I'm like, move, dude.
Oh my God. Yeah, what's up with that? Why are they boxing you in?
Dude, he's still riding his run.
Yeah,
this is the sick angle right here.
That's rev limit up the whole
Look at his
way.
rear wheel. It never got past the halfway point of up.
You see how far my knees go forward on the shroud.
Dude. Were you sponsored by DVS at the time?
Oh, yeah. Just a little bit, head to toe.
Wow.
DVS was dope back in the day.
Yeah, that was
those
sick.
slip-on slippers were the only thing I wore to high school.
The heart replica ones.
I actually rode for Etnies at the time, but my roommate, Jason Balkin, was the DVS team manager, so I'd always steal his when I'd walk in the house.
They're the best shoes.
Yeah, the best
I wore them
slides
every day
ever.
to school.
Yeah.
Bro, incredible conversation, bro. I appreciate you coming
Thank
by
you.
Twitch.
Oh, I'm not done
once
yet,
again.
dude. I got one more question.
No, go ahead.
I want to get into all your injuries.
Oh, shit.
Because out of all my buddies that have been hurt, he's probably has the most injuries, or like the most painful injuries out of everyone that still hurt him.
It's always lower leg stuff. Like I was like a cat for so many years, like freestyle until 2019. So I've been riding freestyle for
He would never get
15
hurt.
years. I'd get everything's from the knees down. I broke my collarbone in 2010, and then until 2019, everything was from the knees down. So I've blown my knees out like.
But I remember
6 times.
your really bad crash in Baltimore
yeah.
Dew Tour.
Yeah,
That one I got hurt too.
I don't think you rode the event.
I got hurt jumping that tabletop
that
practice.
was 08. You did that. I don't know why you weren't riding that contest.
I was there though.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah, so I don't know. But this crash was gnarly.
Yeah, I did over-rotated a flip. I went to do the Kiss of Death, the roll flip, and you got to over-rotate to do it.
And at the time, he was the only one doing the Kiss of Death backflip. Everyone else was doing like a mediocre Superman.
Chris Tedesco's like, DVS want a photo of it. I'll stand down there and look through it. I'm like, I'm going to have to pull real hard, do a big one. I pulled as hard as I could, and I kind of come off the ramp a little sideways, just enough to freak me out at first, so I didn't jump off. So nothing slowed me down.
So he pulled as hard as he could to do a flip.
I did a flip and a third, and I landed fully looped out behind the bike at the bottom of the landing and just exploded my ankle. Tried to walk like 3 times. I'm like,
couldn't get up.
I'm like, it's not. I can't be hurt.
He kept standing up and eating shit. He'd stand up, fall over. Stand up, fall over.
I had a bag of nuts and bolts in my boot, and it just went. And after the 3rd time, I'm like, fuck.
They put him on the stretcher, and they were trying to wheel him out of there, and he made him stop. He's like, wait, I need to see what place I got. Because someone else was still up
Yeah,
to
Mason
ride.
had to go.
Yeah, our buddy Mike Mason still had to ride and do his run, and he's like, I'm not going to the hospital until I know what place I got.
And I never got my trophy for another year. I was pissed.
You never did?
Nah.
And you ended up getting second?
Yeah, second. But like that ankle, anything that could go wrong did go wrong. So I was in Baltimore Hospital for 3 days. It was too swollen. They couldn't operate. They're like, hey, you got to leave. I'm like, well, where do you want me to go? I'm from Australia. Like I still hadn't had a place to live out here. I was staying on Potter's couch. So I had to buy 3 tickets, fly to California, and then I got hooked up with the local moto doctor, Ryman. He's a good surgeon in that, but he does a bit of everything. So I really needed a foot specialist, ankle specialist, because my shit was exploded.
It was probably one of the worst breaks I've ever seen.
Broken talus, broken tib, fib, broke all 5 metatarsals, and exploded my navicular to bits. And
so literally your whole foot, your whole ankle, everything.
So then
I saw a photo this morning. It looks
destroyed.
nuts.
So then I got surgery, and I had a couple of screws in there, and then 3 wires sticking out. And then my best mate Cam Sinclair accidentally stood on it 10 days later when I had the 3 wires sticking out, and it blew up like a football. I didn't talk to him for like 10 days. I fucking hated him.
He was so mad.
And then
how did he step on it? What did he do?
We're on a bus from LAX to the rental car joint, and he picked up a map. I don't know why he can't read, and he was walking backwards to his seat, reading the map, and he just stomped on it. And I just on my head.
10 days out of surgery?
Yeah. And then, blew up like a football. They had the plastic balls on the end of the wire pins so the bandage wouldn't get caught. They started to push them off because it was swallowing.
It swelled up that gnarly.
Bro. And then I got those wires out. I got a cast, and like 5 days later, I'm like, this is so fucking itchy. And I cut it off, and it was all red and flaky. I went to the doctors. He swabbed it. Called me the next morning at 6:45. He's like, get straight to hospital. You got MRSA, which is the worst staph you can have. So I had antibiotics for 3 days, surgery straight away, and they pulled the rest of the metal out. And then it just healed where it was sitting, which was on that massive angle.
Crooked as hell. Like out of all my buddies' injuries, he had the worst. It looked like he had 2 left legs.
Yeah, pretty much. So from that moment on, I'd never got my foot past 90 degrees. Like never got my toes toward my shin more than 90 degrees.
His ankle's always out of the socket. Like imagine the pain of like your ankle being out of the socket and walking on it all the time.
I mean, you got to airdrop me these photos so I could show you.
They're insane.
It looks insane.
I put up with it for like 15 years, and then the last 3 years, because my ankle had been out of the socket for so long, it just started to burn every day.
And it changed him so much because like he's usually funny as hell, always making everyone laugh, talking shit. Like he was miserable.
I got grumpy. Yeah. I was just like in pain. I didn't want to walk around at a venue. I didn't want to walk around and do stuff.
You didn't want to be around him. Like I'm like, is BILKO going to commit suicide? Like he is fucking going off the deep end.
I wouldn't want to hang out
like,
because I knew I was in that mood. So I kind of isolate just because I'm like, I'm grumpy and no one wants to be around me because this just pisses me off. So then
he would have crutches to get to his bike. He would ride his bike, crutch back, and he's like, okay, I'm out of here, guys. Because he knew if we were trying to go to eat or go do anything, he's like, I can't walk. I can't.
Yeah, I can't stand up for that
I can't
long.
go 10 more feet. Like, I can't do that.
And how long did you live like this for?
Like the last 3 years. And then April, I tried to get my heel moved across to make it a little better. And the heel went straight, but my foot jammed even further down. So my heel was like 2 inches off the ground. And my ankle
was it still out of the socket?
Or it was still sitting in front of the socket.
It was. And they didn't know that when they did
because
surgery?
my tib and fib were fused together and bent. So
the fuse is like that.
Yeah,
long on your ankle, right?
that video I showed
That's
you
from all that just growing back?
Well, with the chiseling, they chiseled this tiny bit out that was joining them. That was in 2015.
That's what they were trying to pound out.
It calcified to that whole thing and that pushed my ankle forward out of the socket and further down. So I had to walk on tippy toes. So since April,
literally his foot was like this when he would walk.
I had a 2-inch foot. You see him on Instagram. It's like, oh, chicks want you to be taller. So they sell those foam pads for under your heel. I had to buy them just to put in the one shoe.
How many of them did you have to put in one shoe?
Just one. It still didn't work. So
poor guy, dude.
And then
and you're still riding a bike this whole time.
I didn't ride from April because I just didn't need to, and then I thought I'll get some photos before I have this surgery. So I rode twice, and I could ride fine. I just couldn't walk after.
But before he went in the surgery the first time, it was probably the best I've seen him ride.
At Daytona?
Yeah, in Daytona. It was like the best I've seen him ride in years. Like it looked like the old BILKO. Like
I was having fun.
He was having fun again.
So then I got the surgery 7 weeks ago. They had to lengthen my Achilles to get my foot back up because I've been down so long.
How did they lengthen your Achilles?
I don't know if they put a bunch of slits in it or what. Same as they did your PP. So and then they had to
grind. Can you re-establish what you just said since you said it with such a hard accent?
Same as your pork sword. So then they had to grind a bunch of my fibula out to get my ankle back in the socket and to lift it up. And then they just screwed a big plate to the front of my shin and on top of my talus, put a plate and 11 small screws in the plate, 1 big screw down through the tibia into the talus, and then 2 in my heel to hold it straight.
Like, what's recovery look like?
Well, it's been 7 weeks now. I can fully weight bear. The bones are knitted together, but since I had that heel surgery in April, and I never have really stood on my heel since then, and then now the big slice on the top of my foot, it's like 8-inch incision. So there's so much numbness in my foot. So right now, I doesn't feel like my foot, so I don't have any stability. So I should be able to ride by Christmas. I could ride tomorrow if I really, really had to. It wouldn't be a good idea, but I would.
And he would ride tomorrow if he really had to.
And so I'll probably wait till after Christmas, but you're feeling when they slice through your muscle, your tissue, and the nerves. Your nerve endings in your hands and fingers, there's hundreds of little small nerve endings, so they take forever to knit back together. So for now, I've got a fully numb heel, and the bottom half of my back half of my foot is numb still. So it's not too bad with a shoe on, but if like I'm in the shower, it just doesn't feel like my foot's on the ground. It feels like a dead foot.
It's got to feel so weird. I was thinking about it too when we were talking about that driving down here today. I'm like, I wonder how it would be like when you're riding, if you can feel it on your foot peg, or like, are you just going to look down at your foot and be like, okay, it's in a good spot?
Yeah, it's probably just feel the inside of the boot on the side plate. But yeah, it still feels like it did earlier in the year because I can only feel the front of my foot, like my tippy toes touching the ground, even though my heel is. It just doesn't feel like it. So I kind of feel like I'm like I was before, except I'm not 2 inches taller on my left leg.
You're not leaning to the side.
Yeah, because it was so bad. I literally put my toes, I'd put them in the lowered part of the plug in the shower just because it'd give me an extra little bit of space to put my foot in. Otherwise, I'd be standing lopsided because I'd be on my tippy toe that foot.
So how long until you think your foot and your ankle are going to be healed enough to be flat on the floor?
It already sits flat on the ground now, which is amazing.
And you're what, like half the amount of pain that you used to be in?
I mean, even less than half. Like obviously the surgery hurt, the incision, the screws, that was painful for like 3-4 weeks. But instantly, as that pain started to settle down, I noticed that my ankle was not on fire anymore. Literally, as soon as I woke up in the morning, if it didn't hurt from the day before, as soon as I got up and walked like 20, 30 steps, it had already started to ache. And then as soon as I did anything, it'd be on fire.
Which I know how bad your ankle is because like I know how bad mine is. And I feel like the normal person, if they had my ankle, would be eating pain pills 24/7, like trying to like
I did go down that rabbit hole for a little bit, but that's not going to work.
But with knowing how bad mine is, I know yours is 10 times worse. So it's like I understand why you went down that rabbit hole, and I understand why you did all that. But it's like because even mine fucking kills sometimes, dude. Like you were saying, like just the blanket resting on your toes in the middle of the night, like you can't handle it. You got to take the blanket off your foot. Just that little bit of pressure of like what's already going on. Like mine feels like there's a hot knife in there 24/7, and yours was way worse than mine.
Mine was like a hot machete. Yeah. So yeah, like it's and as I said, that burning ankle pain that was with me 24 hours a day. As long as I was awake, I could feel it. So that's gone already. So now it's just getting the feeling back in my whole foot. And obviously I don't have any range of motion, just my metatarsals and my toes move. But I mean, the doctor's like, hey, you're going to limp after this surgery. I said, I've been limping for 17 years.
Bro, I've been limping my whole life.
Like you guys have so much metal in your body. It's unreal.
No, they took a lot of it out because of that staph infection. So I've just got a plate and 9 screws in my collarbone, a couple of little hooks in my shoulders, small screw in my right foot metatarsal, and then 6 of my toes have pins in them to keep them straight because they just curled up. They're like a monkey hanging from a tree. They were just fully bent.
Bad.
And you're still excited to get on a bike.
Yeah, I can't wait. I like airbag landings still though because they give that cushion for the busted up knees and
cushion
ankle.
for the pushing.
Yeah,
I'm just glad we're getting BILKO back with his normal personality because before you were always so grumpy. Like I could tell you were in a lot of pain.
That's why I would like not hang out as much because I don't want to be that grumpy dick that's hanging around. I'm like, I'm no fun to be around if I'm grumpy, so I'm just going to separate.
He's one of the funniest guys I know, like hands down.
But now we're getting back to it. I'm pretty happy. So yeah, it's I should have done this surgery a couple of years ago, but yeah, it's just. Yeah.
You just, I'll do it later, or I'll do it next time I get hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you always say, I'll do it later. And
then the trouble is with that first surgery being a failure, I was in Oz when I had that done. And then to see a specialist, a surgeon in Australia, it's like 2, 3, 4 months wait, then another 2, 3, 4 months to get the surgery. So I wish I could have had that surgery done, in May, just after the other one didn't work out. And then it would have been good. But I had to wait till September. I ended up coming back here because I couldn't get surgery in Australia till after Christmas. So I'd still be limping around with that.
Are you full-time in Australia? Or
no, I'm a US citizen, dual citizen. So I've been full-time here. I wouldn't say full-time because whenever we did Crusty Tour and New Zealand, in Australia, New Zealand, I'd go home, spend Christmas at home, and then the tour was usually in March, April, May, whatever. And then X Games, the Dew Tour started in June. So I'd go summer to summer. I'd spend that time in Melbourne, then I'd come out here. But since COVID, since Australia turned into a bunch of pussies, I spent like most of my time out here. It's terrible. I left Melbourne for the longest time I ever have. We were the most locked down city in the world.
He went back to Australia after COVID. How many days were you there before your license got taken away?
It was this last trip. I was only home for 6 weeks, but I lost it within the first 3.5 weeks. So
why is that?
we have speed cameras hidden under bridges. Where like you can't do 4 miles an hour over the speed limit in Australia without getting a ticket. So they've got no real crime to worry about. No cartels, no gang. There's a bit of gang violence, but no shootings and that. So they just give out traffic tickets the whole time, revenue raising. So I could probably name like 40 speed cameras in within an hour of my house that are usually hidden under overpasses or the cops.
But they added a couple extra ones in when he was gone.
The cameras were there, so I'd pin it, slow down, but they just upgraded them. They do point to point. So they time you from A to B. So if you get there in 5 minutes and 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes and 40 seconds when you're doing the speed limit, they average your speed and give you a ticket. So by the time I got
gnarly.
So it was
what?
3 weeks later, I got the first ticket in the mail and I'd already done it 4 times. So because I didn't know they were point to point, I was still pinning it, slowing down to 100 Ks, going under the camera like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not getting a ticket.
Got his
and then
license
sure
taken
enough,
away.
just every 4 or 5 days, another Vic Roads come in the mail. I'm like, fuck. And then
How long does your license get taken away for when you
this
do
time
that?
it was only, I think, 3 months. But when I was 18, I lost it for 12 months for doing 60 Ks over the speed limit, and not indicating and no headlights at night. And then in 2014, I did a burnout in a 12-seater minivan, and I had people like shaking the van to get it to do a skid. It didn't have enough power, and someone filming it. So I got done with an aggravated burnout. And I looked at him, I'm like, it's a 12-seater fucking diesel minivan. What are you talking about aggravated? He's like, you had people filming and assisting. We got gnarly hoon laws. They wouldn't let Ken Block film Jim Carter in Australia because it had encouraged people to do skids. We love burnouts.
No way.
Oh yeah, they love burnouts.
So I think they were going to like Jim Carter 9 or 10. They were looking at doing it in Australia, and they just said no because if you come here and do donuts and all the streets and that, all these dickheads, we're going to do donuts anyway. But yeah, I lost my license for a year from that, and they were going to impound the vehicle, but it was a rental car. Thank God they didn't. They would have left 8 of us stranded in rural New South Wales. And then
in the middle of nowhere.
yeah, so I lost it for a year for that, and then I hadn't had a ticket for 10 years. And I just went home and got those 4 fines in a month.
And that's it. No
Yeah.
more license.
Then
Nah.
he came
Back
back over
to the
here.
US.
Yeah.
Then he came back over here to the US.
Yeah, but like here, I just drive flat out, and it's no issue. Like as long as
It's
everyone's
fine.
going the same speed, no one cares. Cops only care about the window tint, which I get because you could be hiding a gun. So
And all of our windows are dark as hell.
And we all have tinted windows.
I peeled mine off after I got pulled over 2 days in a row when I had my Beamer. So I had no number plates, no black headlights, tail lights, fully black windows. I got pulled over 2 days in a row. Didn't get a ticket. Australia, they would have pulled it off the road.
I remember being pulled over with Jeremy Lusk one day in our little piece of shit Toyotas.
Yeah,
and
the Yotas.
the cop got him for tinted windows, and he rolls his window up as the cop's talking, rips it off. He goes, "What fucking window tint?" And the cop was so mad. He's like, "What about that window?" He's like, "Fuck."
What about the tailgate that he had where he just used to wheelie onto it and it was just fully bent in? He didn't use a ramp to load his bike. He just dumped the clutch and wheelied straight into the tailgate and it was fully bent and he just put the bike in.
Easy.
That's kind of lit.
That was
It's a good getaway.
It was way easier.
That's a great getaway. They should make like a prefabbed ramp that just comes custom with your truck so you can just get away.
They've got the steps and the handrails and all those things now.
Yeah, they made that for Deegan when he did his Ford deal because he was too short.
Well, you guys lift your trucks up. Like it's like no one goes off road in these trucks. They just jack them up 4 feet and think it's cool.
Street princesses.
This guy crazy right now.
He is, dude.
I say that about that's U.S. car culture. You talk about
Yeah, I know,
you're gonna
but-
have the entire internet come for you.
I mean,
right
that's
now.
fine. I had my van and I went to the off-road warehouse or whatever, 4-wheel drive parts. I'm like, hey, can I get some spindles, lower spindles for the front and something for the rear? He's like, okay. He's looking it up. He's like, can I ask you a personal question? I'm like, yeah, what? He goes, why do you want to lower your vehicle? I said, why the fuck not? I want it to fit in my garage. I want to be able to park in the airport without having to park, catching a bus to the terminal. I said, it's practical. I said, all these dickheads lift their trucks up and they don't even go off-road. They don't even get a muddy. So
It's so true, though.
Yeah.
They don't even get
Everyone
money.
Everyone wants a Raptor just to look like they go off road, but it's clean as hell.
They look cool and shit, but if my van wasn't going to fit in the garage or I'd have to park friggin' 5 minutes from LAX instead of at the terminal, stuff that.
Yo, very practical.
Smart.
Very smart.
Well, when you have a shitty ankle like that, you think long term. You're like, okay, I need to go from A to B
Yeah,
with
straight
hop
up.
in and
short as
out.
possible.
Yeah.
Well, one time I was getting to San Diego and I was running late and there was no parks left and there was only electric vehicles. So I just backed it in and I put the electric cable in my fuel cap and just left it there for 4 days. They didn't tow it.
Smart, huh?
Hey, honestly, now that you're telling me that, I might start using that because there's always the electric car
Yeah.
parking
Always,
There's
spots
always
that
a
are
bunch of
available.
them open.
Honestly, I'm going to start using that.
I couldn't park with the back out because I had a Hemi badge, even though it doesn't have a Hemi in it. They come off the Yokohama Ram truck when they wrapped it. All the badges were there, so I just put the Hemi 6.7 liter badge on the back of my Chevy Express van.
He just
But-
puts the electrical charging thing just in his gas cap.
Yeah, just shut the gas cap so it rested and held it in there. No one said anything.
No one
Bro,
does
that's
that. He didn't.
genius.
Hey, and if you turn your wheels full lock, it's way harder to tow your vehicle.
I always turn it full lock if I
Yeah.
think I might get towed.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, because they can't lift it up as easy or
I
they
didn't
can't
know
get it
that.
out. Yeah.
I need that. My car gets towed like once a week.
Yeah, too
Parking
towing.
Or
Right.
like if I'll pull forward into a parking spot at the mall, like I always park in like to go parking or whatever, I'll always crank my wheel because when they go to pull it out, it's going to go sideways. into the
Yeah,
car.
they can't get it out.
That is genius because I literally always park in the red. Wait, I have another question for you now.
We got some
before
life hacks
go.
for you.
Fire away.
One more question.
Is
for
it
you.
multiple choice?
One more question for you. It might be all of the above. What is your opinion of the electric bike craze that's going on right now with the Starks and the Surons and all of these things? You like it?
Surons are sick because it's a building platform, and they're doing gnarly stuff like kids doing like 70
Levi kid,
backflips,
flipping it.
huge turndowns. The electric bikes, I mean, as much as electric sucks and it doesn't have the noise, the technology in those things is amazing. They're an awesome dirt bike. I've seen Sheeny ride one and Patrick, like they just get on them and someone's like, oh, you can't hear it. Like, you know, as a rider, I've only ridden one around a track, but just the what do you call it?
Like the throttle response.
Yeah, just your muscle memory just from cracking the throttle, and you can feel the bike and you can feel it pull and the torque. Like, you know how to ride that motorcycle if you could ride a petrol bike, and they're so easy to ride. And I like the handbrake for the rear up on the handlebars. They're just an awesome new thing. Like, obviously there was that Alta, that was a pretty average electric bike, but Stark is like built like a luxury.
Stark is
brand.
like the future of electric bikes.
It's got like the logo where the petrol cap should be is a 24 karat gold logo in there, and then just like with the mobile technology on it. And
we're gonna bring the dude that invented Stark in for an interview.
Yeah, we have to. I'm obsessed with these electric bikes.
He's coming in already. I talked to him the other day.
You can't drive? It's impossible. It doesn't have a steering wheel.
I can't ride a 450. Drive. I can't ride a 450 in the electric bike. Like
he can't do a clutch. That's his problem.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, the pit bike I could ride.
Yeah.
There's no clutch. It's fun. I could rip around the neighborhood.
I used to be a pit bike king.
Yeah.
Oh, the pit bike's great. I wish all bikes were like the pit bike.
Yeah.
Put a recluse having to
clutch.
have your foot go and then this and then
that's what I should put in this bike.
Yeah, put a recluse clutch in it.
Okay.
Yeah,
what?
A recluse clutch makes it like a 110 where you can pull up without pulling the clutch in.
How?
It's just changes the clutch setup.
I forgot about that because I've never.
What are we doing here?
I got you. BILKO got us. We're getting them.
I've been trying to figure this out for months. I'm down to get anything to try. I want to run through the neighborhood. He brought me the Concrete Cowboys. I was ready to do wheelies with them down the street. We're all here. Everybody was out. The entire community. I couldn't even get the thing out of the first gear. I fall over. I look like a chump. Then I had to tell everybody, no, it's broken. I hurt my foot. Then I had to walk the bike back.
What a
the bike
chump.
doesn't work. It's a brand new 450.
Yeah,
bro, it went so fast. I got these cheetah pimp brands and I was ripping it down the street. I was having the time of my life, dude. And
Concrete Cowboys is a fair way to step up for your first time on the street. On the 450.
That's the big one.
It was lit, dude. I thought I was gonna do it. Like I bought the sick helmet.
Yeah, thought he farted, but he really shit his pants.
Bro, I really thought I was gonna be the guy. Because I gotta jump at his house in the next 2 months.
We're not
Which
letting
jump?
Before New Year's.
75, get fucked.
Yeah, that's my deal. Before New Year's.
No, I just like. I'm not trying to
Believe me,
profile
brother.
you. I'm not trying to judge you.
Believe me, I can do it.
Do you remember when Nate's mechanic, Mikey C, tried to jump Nate's YZ250?
What'd he break?
He tib-fib.
Fib.
He didn't even make it halfway up the backside of the landing.
Yeah, backside.
No, I can launch.
Yeah, but can you land? Anyway,
yeah.
I have
the launching
incredible-
part's not hard. It's the landing
I
part.
have incredible stability in the air.
Okay, what if you're 40 feet short?
I'm gonna have to figure it out. I could jump.
Flap your wings.
That's all I got for you, dude. Oh man, this was great.
Thanks
I appreciate
for having
you
me.
coming
This
through,
was
man.
fun.
I appreciate breakfast. Watching you guys walk around together.
I appreciate breakfast.
Yeah.
Should
good.
we?
Yeah,
Yeah. Poor guy, dude. Should we let you guys walk in the back behind?
well, we
him
don't
together?
actually walk, so.
I mean,
anyway.
there's a lot going on there. Should we save that
let's
for
do it.
next time?
Whoa. See, look.
It's gonna break the. Whoa. No, I didn't mean that. I meant because you guys got. Oh, he's getting his sticks.
Got the sticks.
Where's your
dude?
sticks?
My sticks are right here.
Here, come on. We'll end the podcast like this. Well, the stepbrother's over here. Yeah, get.
This is Dumb and Dumber, dude.
Hey, he powder coated his.
I don't even need my feet.
Look at this. This is what I'm dealing with here today. This is freestyle royalty right here. What an amazing. Hey, this is the photo. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Jaxxon Podcast, Twitch, BILKO, you ready to hear it? We appreciate you guys' support. Leave a comment. Let us know who you guys want to see next. We're out.